Welcome, BBCers, to episode number 219 of the Broken by Concept podcast, the number one solo queue educational and motivational podcast. Curtis, today we're going to kick us off. The World Championship has begun. As the time of we're recording this, the play-ins have ended. And I thought it would be interesting to, number one, let's share some of where the meta's at for the World's Championships on this patch. What are the priority pick champions? And number two, some sort of concerns from a jungle perspective, Curtis, especially when it comes to differentiating between solo queue and what competitive League of Legends is like and how it can differentiate.
Okay.
So let's just get the raw hard stats here. Again, play-ins are finished, so these were the stats for the champions. So the most banned champion was Skarner Jungle, 17 bans. Then it went Yone, 14 bans. Vi, 13 bans. Ashe, 12 bans. And then Aurora, 12 bans. Actually, Curtis, what's going on with Aurora at the moment? How's Aurora in solo queue performing? Have you coached many Aurora players out of curiosity?
Aurora, holy moly. Aurora is not what I expected. So when Aurora came out, I don't know, for some reason I was under the assumption that it was actually going to be a relatively straightforward, clear identity, champion.
What category did you think it was going to fit in under?
I thought it was going to be kind of more of an assassin. I would say that Aurora is more like a skirmisher. That's what I kind of categorize Aurora as. She's a bit of a hybrid. She's got mage-like aspects and she has assassin-like aspects. It's very similar to Ahri, right? That's the best way to think of Aurora. She's like an Ahri. Aurora, though, in terms of difficulty, I think she is extremely hard. So I actually had a conversation with the client today. I did a Aurora VOD today. Let's say objectively, some of the hardest mid-champs in the game, you have like Azir and Ryze. Let's say like an Azir and Ryze are like 10 out of 10. I would actually argue that Aurora is somewhere like an 8.5. She's really quite difficult because she has low range. What's very, very weird about Aurora is that her trading patterns are quite unique because think about it. Your low range, your Q is what you would intuitively want to max, but it's so hard to land in lane. You have to get very creative with your W. You have to get creative with your movement. You have to find ways to close the gap and punish people. But it's not upfront damage like you would think a lot of other poke abilities. It's kind of got this front end, back end type thing, right? You throw it out and then you pull it back. But into a lot of mage matchups, you're barely even going to get in range to land your Q. So then some people were even putting points in E and maxing E, which was very random. But then that is also kind of, very punishing if you miss your E. So the champion is quite difficult. I think if you are below platinum and playing Aurora, I think you're going to have a bit of a tricky time. I don't know if Riot fully are happy with how she has landed. Like she came out of the gates incredibly overpowered. Her ultimate was out of this world strong. Insane. She was really, really, really strong. And then she's got toned back quite a lot. And to be honest, not many people are even competent enough to play her right now. Right now, I'm viewing her as a kind of somewhat counterpick. I think she's good to have in a pool whereby she's very good into low range champions. You can bully the hell out of melees. And she's good with aggressive junglers. Right, so you pair Aurora with something like a Jarvan or something like that. It's very, very oppressive. Post 6. You can set up ganks unlike any other. And the good thing about Aurora is that you're very slippery. You're very mobile, so you're good into high threat compositions. And your wave clear is quite good. Again, like Ahri. So to summarize, she's a skirmisher. She's not really played for the 1v1 in majority of matchups. She's played for 2v2s. Very R reliant, hyper mobile, hard to kill because of the W, and has good wave clear. So she has all of the makings of a very good kit. Very, very good kit. But in terms of the execution, you definitely need to have good quality micro game understanding, anticipation. You need to be very detail-oriented with that champion. Every little detail matters, and how you use the mobility of the R when you get rid of the R so you can walk out of it. How you bounce from side to side, hitting your goddamn skill shots, getting creative with your W. There's there's an incredibly high skill cap to the champion, and I think that it might end up being kind of like a Nico.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So we categorize it as like a It's like a medium range champion.
Mid range, yep.
With like utility.
If you think about where Nico, how kind of Nico evolved as a champion, Nico's now one of those champions that is seen in pro play. Like it is seen every now and then. It goes through phases where Nico kind of pops in and out, and you kind of hear Caps was like, back in the day was loving it, and it was good because it would have a strong lane. The problem, I guess the difference with Aurora and Nico is that Nico has a much stronger lane phase, in my opinion, than Aurora. So that's why I think that Nico is probably more attractive in the long run to some of those higher elo brackets. But the major advantage that Aurora has over Nico is that the wave clear, I think, is maybe a little bit better. The R is probably maybe even a little bit more reliable as well. I think the R is objectively just a better ability. But there's, again, high skill cap. So what I'm trying to get at, I think in the long run, what you'll see is either crazy good OTPs, really, really good OTPs. There'll be metas where Aurora will just be played in pro, and then there'll be metas where it just disappears off the face of the earth and you won't see it for a long time. It's just going to
get brutally nerfed.
It'll get brutally nerfed.
Too OP and competitive.
Yeah, exactly. And the damage numbers just won't be able to justify playing it in pro because this. So yeah, it will be a champion that will be actually incredibly difficult to balance for both high elo and low elo.
If it's ult's like the perfect mid laner ults, you know, it's for team fights and for competitive. It's insanely good.
And I think Riot are going to face a lot of challenges balancing this champion for both lower elo play and pro play. It's going to be like kind of like an Azir as well. Like it's these champions that I think are very difficult to balance for both. But I think arguably they have done a very good job with Ahri. I think Ahri is an example of a champion that has high skill cap, but can be played in the lower elo brackets, but also seen in pro play. So I think Ahri is like kind of the goal, I think, with where they want to bring it to, So that's my observation.
All right, so now, Curtis, let's go into the top 3 picks of each role, and then I'm going to talk about my concerns, Curtis, from the jungle perspective. So for top lane, we've got Cassante is the most picked top laner, 10 times, then Renekton at 8, and then Rumble at 8. Then jungle, we've got Wukong the most picked at 9, Sejuani followed by 7, and then Skarner 6 times. Mid lane, Syndra 7, Yone 7 equal, the most picked. But Yone has a much better win rate than the Syndra. And then Orianna is coming in third with picks 5 times. Actually, 5 times is for Tristana and Akali. So
and wait, Orianna, Tristana, and Akali all 5.
All 5, so they're all tied for 3, right?
Yep.
And then we've got our bot lane. Jin's the most picked at 10 times with a very good win rate. Ezreal, pretty bad win rate at 8 times. Misfortune as well, 5 times. Lucian 5 times, and Ashe 5 times. So sort of the same as mid pool. A bunch of champions.
Ashe even won a game, like won one game.
She's won one game. And then support, Raul's the most played. I think Raul's really strong in support at the moment. And then Leona, and then at Poppy. 7 times, and then Poppy at 6, and Alistair also at 6 at the same time. Now, Curtis, when you're looking at this list here, right? So the World Championships, this is the big event. A lot of people tune in. Like the viewership numbers are quite big. They've grown even from year to year. Everyone knows about Worlds if you play. Even if you're a casual person that may not play League, people just tune in for Worlds. It's an exciting time, right? It's got so much pedigree over. It's been built for this is season
14 years.
So 14 years, right? And, you got little Timmy here. Let's say, he's really excited about jungle. He wants to be a jungler. And then he's watching the World Championships and he sees, Wukong, Sejuani, and Skarner. These are the most picked champions. And they're followed by Jarvan and then Lee Sin. And then Timmy tries to play these champions, okay, in his games. And they look nothing like the competitive games. They have a really bad clears. They're clear just super slowly. They are not doing much damage. And Timmy's really confused and frustrated. It's like, how's the best players in the world playing these champions? And I'm getting no results in my solo queue games. And if I'm looking at the dichotomy of jungle compared to the other roles, these champions, like honestly, I hate reviewing these champions. So Wukong is actually a recommended champion. And Wukong it's all about learning the combo with Wukong, but Wukong at the end of the day, he's like a full teamfight R reliant champion. If you have no R, your champion's basically useless. And then you follow by Sejuani. Sejuani works in certain comps, and again, full tank. Then you've got Skarner. Now, Skarner sort of had good win rate, has been here and there, but the end, I've played Skarner. I was going to make a guide on Skarner.
Can you walk me through Skarner? You've been really, I feel like you've had so many different takes on Skarner.
My current take is I tried to make a guide on Skarner, and I just scrapped it. Me and Perry actually both tried to make a guide on him, and then we're like, this champion just does no damage. It just feels clunky. Okay, it's really good and competitive, but in solo queue, especially if it gets nerfed a little bit more, whatever, like this champ is just going to fall. It's just a tank jungler, right? And tank junglers just in solo queue. Like, sort of my point here that I'm getting at is that jungle in competitive is a different game compared to solo queue. So the champions that always you see thrive in solo queue are, I guess, less ult-reliant champions, like, you know, the Graves, the Kindred, the champions that can always be doing things and not fully reliant on, you know, the ultimate abilities, like Warwick, Briar. A lot of these champions are really good in the lower ranks. I'm talking more about the lower ranks here, right? Or like the general player base, you know, Emerald, and below. And again, you know, little Timmy here, you know, sees this and then he plays his champions and he's just so confused because these champions, when I review them, and, you know, they're so reliant on having really good game knowledge, understanding, playing through win condition, and somewhat as well of your laners playing well, right? They, you know, execute and snowball in their leads, right? And they're just a nightmare to review because they're sort of like, you know, for Jarvan specifically, it's like, oh, you missed an EQ. You know, that's what it is. You know, Lee Sin, funny enough, Lee Sin actually has a 0% win rate with the 3 games, right? You know, Lee Sin, obviously traditionally in Lee Sin, you know, like you could probably hear a lot of your mid laners in MLA not happy with the Lee Sin on their team, right? Lee Sin can ruin games, you know?
Lee Sin's actually not too bad. I mean, not many people say anything bad about Lee Sin. I think the only champion in the MLA that people don't like playing, I think potentially biased from me, is Nidalee.
Yeah, Nidalee, yeah.
All right.
So Nidalee's on this list with a 100% win rate with two wins.
So let's expand on this.
So let's look at this list here, Curtis, compared to the other roles. So let's go to mid, Curtis. Syndra, Yone, Orianna, Tristana, Akali, LeBlanc. These are the top picks. These you'd see in solo queue, and you'd see the top players solo queue, and you could instantly plug and play these champions into your solo queue games if you're little Timmy, and you'd be like, wow, like you could figure out why you're winning and losing games. Let's go to bot, right? Jhin, Ezreal, Lucian, Ashe, Misfortune. I mean, Jinx is pretty popular as well. She's number 3. She's actually not that much picked in Worlds. But again, you could see it's like, you know, these champions you would see in your solo queue games, and you could execute these, and you could sort of see the difference between maybe your play and their play if you're watching Worlds. And then we got support. You know, I'd say this whole list here, you know, going from the Rel, Leona, Poppy, you probably don't see much in solo queue people. It's hard to execute, I would say, Poppy in solo queue. It's more niche. Alistar, I would say don't see much either. But then you got the Nami, Nautilus, Braum, Rakan. Like, you'd see these a lot. You could plug and play these.
The jungle's kind of the outlier role. Kind of.
And I think it's not just an outlier. It's quite extreme. You know, like this is, again, it's a different game. And this is, whether it's a good or bad thing, that's sort of like another conversation to have.
Well, let's dissect why this is the case then, right, Nathan?
Yeah.
Let's dissect why jungle is kind of completely different, right? At the highest level, okay, well, let's just say, not even at the highest level, just in general, solo laners have an easier time being a carry than a jungler because they get access to more resources.
That's fact.
That's just a fact, right?
More
experience, more gold. They're just more items. Unless, obviously, the jungler racks up a few kills in the early game. Even then, solo laners are going to be ahead in XP, basically for the majority of the game, unless the solo laners massively mess up. So that's even in the lower level bracket. That's when everyone is playing suboptimally, right? Well, they're not playing, you know, to a high level. The higher you get, I mean, to be honest, it doesn't really change, right? Even in solo queue in the higher elo brackets still, right? I mean, that still kind of remains the same. Although I would say utility-oriented junglers, they don't really get any better, do they? Really, in solo queue at all, even in the higher elo brackets. It's because of the nature of the game, right? It's very chaotic. Yeah. There are fights everywhere. And, you know, junglers just kind of need to have some sort of presence and kill threat, right? Because there is a lack of coordination. Would you agree?
Exactly right, yes. And more the way competitive works, it's like they're looking for like really good because engage tools, like, you know, you always see the Vi, you know, the Sejuani ult, the Skarner, the Jarvan, the Wukong, the Lee Sin, which is all in the competitive, right? These champions have these tools that set up plays for objectives. But because in solo queue, it's sort of like, you know, fight after fight and it's a bit more chaos, you know, you don't have ult as Sejuani or Skarner or Jarvan, and you're just useless in a way.
Okay, let's apply this model, right? I've been very vocal about that 3-stage model where we have gathering information, processing information, and then execution. In solo queue, a massive part of why, I guess, maybe carry-oriented junglers or even, traditional gank-oriented junglers or whatever, why they can thrive in solo queue is because everyone struggles with the first aspect. Everyone struggles with the raw gathering of information because they're not getting given information from anyone else. You're not in comms with anyone. It's all on you to basically gather all that information. And even at a high level, you very rarely see people reliably ping their counterpart, pinging roams. Even that's, a stretch. And so there's a lot of chaos as a result of everyone kind of missing pieces of information. And so as a jungler in solo queue, you're going to have a lot more opportunities to get kills individually and make things happen, even if your champion doesn't provide a lot of utility, purely because they just don't have that information that they have less vision, less knowledge of your whereabouts, less knowledge of your pathing. Yeah. There's all that stuff, right? Whereas in competitive, gathering information isn't really part of the equation because everyone is handing you information. You're never, as a solo laner, you're never going to get caught off guard about a support roam, basically ever, because everyone's going to know, and your support lane is going to be telling
Everyone
you.
knows the windows.
Everyone knows the windows.
Have been...
Everyone's tracking the jungler. Yeah. Your jungler is telling you where their jungler is. So no one is getting caught off guard. Very, very rarely is when something happens. So as a result, you have to have kits that can compensate for the fact that, okay, people probably have a vague idea I'm here, but despite them somewhat knowing I'm here, can I still make a play? And that's where those champions really come into play, right? If you think about a lot of these champions, Sejuani has really great engage range, can get very creative with those engage angles, and has beautiful synergies with a lot of other. And even if you can't find an engage, at minimum, you're providing utility for other carries. Same as Skarner, same as Wukong. And I will say, I watched a little bit of Worlds. The Wukongs are so good at getting max value from their clone and their R to create space and just knock people up and just create absolute chaos in fights to relieve pressure from their carries such that their carries can pump out damage.
Exactly right. It's not really about them killing. It's just the threat in team fights. Yeah. And so what you're saying there, Curtis, is sort of why you would see on this list, no one plays Elise. Elise doesn't work in competitive because if Elise doesn't get successful ganks off, she's useless. And as you said, everyone knows where the jungler is, the Elise is. So it's easy to play around. So what the competitive junglers more so tick the boxes is like, okay, well, I wouldn't really say necessarily they're like Wukong is a terrible ganker. Sejuani ganks depends on what type of champion. Situational. Skarner, yeah, he can gank. Jarvan can gank, but they're not the best gank. They're more about getting to those level 6, pull the trigger, engage tools, and set up for team.
And having really good, they have really good 2v2s and really good 3v3s, really good team fighting, right? That's typically what those junglers are great at. But it's interesting though, because we have been in metas in the past in competitive where you will see Karthuses, you will see, we've seen Kanes, we've seen Elises, we have seen these champions.
Well, it's just rare, right?
It's less common.
That's just those times where the full clear or the AP jungle meta and all that sort of stuff, that just gets overtuned a little bit too much, and that always will come in the rotation of the patches.
But when Worlds comes around...
Yeah, it's the same, all the time, right?
Yeah, and so, but it's how funny is it? If you were to kind of look, I mean, we don't have the stats here, but I've got so many vivid memories of back in the day, even Ambition, Jarvan. Yeah. You see, I swear you see Rumble every single world. You see Orianna every single world. You're seeing, Ezreal every single world. These champions, Leona, every single world. The same champs are basically, at basically every world finals for a reason. Now, I guess just tying back on this again, Skarner, let's just take Skarner for a second. Skarner's an interesting one because you can see Skarner pop off in solo queue and do a lot of work, right? You can see that.
You can see that. What does that look like? Are you talking about him getting 10 kills? Or are you talking about
just ganks?
Okay.
Yeah, ganks. Because I kind of view Skarner a little bit differently to the Wukong and the Sejuani in my opinion, because Skarner's ganks I reckon is so much better in solo queue. Skarner's that interesting hybrid between, yeah, sure, you arguably don't do a lot of damage and you are primarily utility, but your ganks are so good in solo queue because again, the lack of information, and you can come from so many weird angles that you can nearly compensate in a weird way for having limited damage. So I look, it is objectively in the same category of a Sejuani and stuff like that, but I would say it's in a bit of a different realm slightly, in my opinion.
Well, you could say that in the early game, but I bet you've probably versed that Skarner and he gets in the mid game.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that champion is useless.
It's hard.
It's super. I've gotten fed in with Skarner a lot of the time, and I'm like, why am I still doing no damage? And I just get kited and just killed and stuff. So. Yeah, and again, it's very difficult to review these champions because, it's their team play champions.
Well, you can so to get specific, why do you struggle with reviewing these champions? If someone were to bring in a Skarner VOD and you get into it, what are some things that you typically struggle with?
Let's say, for example, like a champion that does more damage, right? Like, let's say again, like a Graves or a Shyvana jungle or like Udyr, you can get your damage off pretty easily, right? Like you're always going to get damage off in a fight, but Skarner can completely flop his E, engage at the wrong time, and then he's just standing there. He's just useless. Sejuani can miss her ult. Jarvan can miss the EQ. Wukong can screw up his clone. Lee Sin can kick the, miss Qs. And, so it's sometimes just like, because at the end of the day, solo queue is a lot of fighting. And as well, because these champs are so reliant on ults, they're just useless without ults. And even their normal abilities, if you miss your normal abilities, you're completely useless as well.
Interesting. So it sounds like you just said a lot of things there. You said, number one, so I guess a better way to frame this, what makes a good solo queue jungler would be the opposite of what you said. They're not as R reliant.
Yes. They clear camps fast as well. These champs I didn't mention, they clear camps very slowly.
So in solo queue, clearing camps is fast because?
Yes. Just tempo and just getting more experience in gold because you want... like in competitive, you sacrifice a lot more resources as a jungler. In solo queue, as a jungler, you want to suck up as much resources as possible. So if you can clear your camps fast and counter jungle the enemy camps fast, that's the carry solo queue jungle mindset, like Evelyn and stuff like that.
Interesting. So you have some sort of carry threat individually, which is kind of acts as a buffer because you can't fully rely on peeling and playing utility for solo laners because there's a lack of coordination.
Coordination also, if they stuff up mechanically their abilities, then you're useless.
Right.
You could have the perfect engage and just say your teammate's on the wrong target or something
so
like that.
It's not to say that it doesn't work, it's just a lot less reliable and a lot less consistent.
Yes.
So then again...
I could 100% go and play these champions in Emerald and, just dominate everyone, but it's way harder than playing...
If you're Shyvana
or Evelyn or Viego or Lilia or, like these champions are way easier to carry with in solo queue.
Interesting. Because I feel like everything we're saying here though, Nathan, it's a lot of... It can add a lot of complications to people's view of the game because what you're saying from the outside perspective is that in order to climb as a jungler, you got to view yourself equally if as a carry, as a solo laner. Is that correct?
Exactly right.
But in competitive, that's not necessarily the role of a jungler.
Well, no, you still want to be hyper efficient. The jungle's jungle, right? You want to be getting your camps, on spawn, and they do that in competitive. But as the game goes on, you get less and less resources as a jungler in competitive. But in solo queue, as the game goes on, you can actually accelerate, and you see Dianas and Shyvanas with 10 CS per minute. You can't really get to 10 CS per minute. You can, but that means, your 80 carries, maybe not get in.
And also another thing that we're not even talking about here is that a lot of those champions struggle in playing kind of like, we're talking the carry oriented. If you were to play Shyvana in competitive, how the hell are you going to contest an early objective? Yeah. I mean, you're not.
Or like the Karthus. Or
you're just going to lose every single 2v2.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You're going to lose every single 2v2. So, yeah, there's a lot of layers there. But at a high level, what you're trying to get across, just to reiterate it one more last time, is that little Timmy, watching Worlds at home, what they see on the world stage is and the champions that they're playing are not even remotely viable and not a great way to play the jungle role in solo queue. Whereas every other role specifically is actually not that bad. You could play majority of these champions and you're completely fine.
Especially, let's say, from Riot's perspective, right? Where you want to sort of sell skins. You want people to be playing the champions and mimicking the pros, right? And, they're going in and playing these champions and like, again, I've reviewed these champions so many times and people lose their mind with these champions. I've lost my mind with Jarvan. Like I've tried down the Sejuani route and all that sort of stuff, and sort of the tank sort of junglers, and it just does not. It's very difficult.
Very, very difficult.
It's very difficult. So that it's like your little Timmys again getting tricked a little bit, And it's just for the jungle role.
Just for the jungle role.
We've just gone for all those. You can be, the Jhin. You can be the Ezreal player or like the, I always try and think about for Uzi, like Vayne and like double if Vayne is up. But Vayne's just completely, even in solo queue now, Vayne's not really that played that much. But most of these other champions, are fine. But actually, I will say top though.
Top's a little bit.
Top is on the fringe though a little bit because Cassandre and solo queue, that's not easy.
It's not easy.
No,
it's good. I would say it's not bad, but it's not easy.
And Cassandre's the most picked at 10.
Yeah, but like you look at the other ones, right? You have Renekton, Rumble, Jax. Nars definitely a competitive pick.
Yeah, but again, solo queue, no.
Yeah, exactly. Solo queue, no.
And I'd also say as well, like, going to with champs like Renekton, if you were, again, Little Timmy and you're a top laner, you play Cassandre and Renekton and Rumble, and in your solo queue games, you can lose your mind and be confused as well with these champions.
Again, nowhere near to the same degree as a jungler, though.
No. But it's close. It's not, okay, no.
I wouldn't say it's close, but it's
not close, but
maybe.
It's way more than other roles, right? Jax is a little bit better. Then we've got Camille a little bit better. Udyr, you'll see. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only champion in mid that I would see as like more of a competitive pick traditionally.
Renekton mid.
No, it's Orianna. I was going to look at the mid picks.
Oh, Orianna.
Like, Orianna is a champion that you don't really see it in solo queue all that often.
What's your relationship with reviewing Orianna games?
Orianna, I mean, it makes sense why you see it in competitive, right? Because Orianna, what does Orianna lack? You lack self-peel and mobility. Yeah. What does all these other champions do for you? Sejuani and
Raoul and Leona.
Raoul, Leona, Wukong, Skarner. They create space. Cassandre, right? They create space for you. And you can pump out massive damage with Orianna, but dealing that damage is the hard thing. That's why typically when you see mages in solo queue, you're probably more inclined to see the Syndra, maybe even the Hui, because they have mobility, or, you just would see other champions that, like the Akalis or the LeBlancs or the Aries or, whatever. But yes, it's not to say you don't see them. They're definitely played. They're just a little bit trickier. But I don't mind reviewing Orianna because it has a pretty clear identity. You're just a lane bully, right? It's just the execution of it is a different ball game. And I've got many Oriannas that have climbed in low elo, high elo. It's just a very particular skill set. But it's just not an easy journey for the average player.
Have you, I assume that means that you've seen people that would try to be Orianna mains have lost their mind?
Orianna is my relationship or my view on Orianna has shifted over time. I was massively on the side of everyone should play Orianna to learn fundamentals. What I realized, and this was a bit of a tough pill for me to swallow, is that not everyone clicks with Orianna. The actual ball, like the actual mechanic of controlling a ball is kind of like controlling two characters. You need to simultaneously be aware of where your character is, while also in your peripheral vision having a pretty clear idea about where your ball is. So a lot of people don't click with that. They don't understand that. They're not really... It's not really something that they even want to go, a path that they want to go down. So I've actually found that many, many people dislike Orianna. It's not a very popular champion for that reason. And even though, yes, it will teach you a lot about the game, I think she's kind of a little bit more of a niche solo queue champion, which is, it is what it is. It's a shame. I do think it's a great champion, but I think it is very objectively really quite hard in solo queue to pull off for the average player.
And I guess now with Aurora, what you talked about at the beginning of the episode, it sounds like Aurora is a bit of a replacement, a little bit of Orianna, you think?
Oh, Aurora is very...
Not really.
I think Orianna and Aurora are different champions.
Yeah, okay.
I actually don't... Aurora is popular in Worlds, not... I would say less so because it's... I mean, it is played in mid, and is banned a lot. I don't know if it's... I think it's also because it's the flex pick, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure that's...
It's played 4 times top.
I'm pretty sure that's one of the main reasons it's banned. I don't think Aurora is like, oh, gosh damn it, they have Aurora mid, we're screwed. I think it's more... it's a flex pick. I think it's annoying to draft against, and I think it can add a lot of multi-threat. So I think that if you can have like a Wukong, Aurora, Cassandre, everyone diving in, it's not because Aurora in isolation is that difficult to deal with. It's Aurora in combination with everything else. That's the way you want to view it. And there are many champs like that. And like, if you think about the El Clasico picks, like Vex, multi-threat champion, you think of even Ari, loves multi-threat. Aurora loves multi-threat. Akali loves multi-threat. And you think about that with top laners like Wukong. You imagine, look how scary this combo is. Raoul, Wukong, Aurora, or Raoul, Wukong, Ari, with the Cassante. It's just so much threat. It's overwhelming. And the way I view it, and when it comes to multi-threat, the every single additional champion that has dive potential, I don't view it as like one extra. It's like it feels like 2 extra or 3 extra in the game, playing the game, because your mental stat can't account for that many threats at the same time. And that's something we just don't really appreciate until we're in the heat of the moment. You're like, you rock up to a fight and you're like, oh my God, there's a Rumble ult about to spawn on my head, but then there's also an Aurora ult that's coming on the side, and then there's a Wukong. Shit, how do you mentally, how do you account for that without having considerable peel? And that's what the games end up being about, right? Just insane peel and insane dive threat simultaneous. And if you actually think about that, Sejuani and Wukong, they can simultaneously have insane peel and insane dive multi-threat, can't they? The champions that can do both.
Vi's the third most banned as well, so Vi would be on there as well.
Multi-threat as well. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. And it's so funny now seeing Vi again there. It's like, again, I'm reviewing Vi games. I'm like, well, we misqueuing this skirmish. Like,
but surely
we missed the time in the queue.
Well, Vi has a very clear identity though, which is good, right?
What player runner are?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is again in solo queue. Your teammates, if you want to pull the trigger on a flash
Right.
QR, right? You're fully reliant on your teammates in those.
Right.
Because with Vi, especially in the mid to late game fights, you don't have the damage to one shot someone.
No.
Right?
Yeah, but you just turn into a multi again, like a Wukong.
Same category as all the other champions.
Yeah,
like
same
Vi
category.
would actually technically be like probably one of the most picked junglers behind Skarner for
Yeah.
being banned, right? So yeah.
By the way, look at Jarvan's bans, and I mean Skarner's bans are ridiculous.
17, Vi 13.
That's insane.
Yeah,
That's
people are
insane.
really scared of these junglers. And then Jarvan banned 7 times and Sejuani 7 times, and Sejuani's still the second most played.
Yeah, that's insane. Crazy.
It's crazy, right?
But these do make for entertaining Worlds games.
Absolutely, yeah. These are the junglers you want to see.
Yeah, you want to see a Rumble Jarvan. You want to see a Wukong and a Renekton. Good team fighting.
All right, so yep, obviously World started exciting. The time zone's so bad for
Terrible
us. By
for
the
us.
way, it's European, so it's like unwatchable. It's literally
I have
starts
to watch
at,
replays.
at 10 p.m. and ends at like 4 a.m. every day. At the Worlds, the grand final is going to be 2 a.m.
Yep, it's a
for us or
shame.
whatever. So it's super sad, but we will have a crack at the replays, I guess. All right, next up here, Curtis. Community post from Reddit League of Legends. This podcast is all about the community. So let's take a look at today's post here. This one comes from Lucre. The title of this one is, I hate how normal it has become to play ranked if you are not serious about the game.
I hate how normal it has become to play ranked if you don't. Okay, I get it.
And then you get called toxic for stating the facts. It seems to me every season more people queue up ranked while not caring about winning or losing. They pick Vi top lane because they watch their favorite streamer play it, and rather than practicing in normals, they immediately queue ranked, or they just want to play League of Legends and not care about anything else, yet still queue up ranked instead of normals. Yeah, can I do anyone do anything but it? No, we can't. Yeah, can I do anyone do anything about it? No, we can't.
All right, I think he's like, can we do anything about it? But okay. So when they say, what is the point? I'm not even having fun and go 1-13 and get called toxic for saying so is the most ridiculous argument I've ever seen. Okay, I see what you mean. So it's like if you call them out for playing for them kind of
These
quote
niche
playing
weird
for fun
picks,
or
playing for
whatever,
fun, yeah.
then you're the one that's toxic. When in reality, he views it as like they're the ones that are toxic for kind of griefing the ranked game because it's a ranked solo, ranked mode.
Then it goes on to say, everyone who is serious about climbing here would rather prefer the 13-1 KDA, but toxic player who actually plays the game rather than the guy who plays ranked just for fun. But you tell the guy anything on how now you are toxic because you are arguing with him on chat.
Interesting.
Don't understand the logic some people have. And the top comment here, so by the way, this thread got 1.3k upvotes. There's 1.1 thousand comments.
Wow.
So people were
People
really
love this
passionate
one.
about this. And you would clearly see the opposite ends, right? You'd see, I think another comment here was saying, where was it? Or conversely, I hate how normal it's become to get mad at people just enjoying playing a fucking game. So you've got the people that are like, it's just a game. Like, why do you get angry with them? You got people, it's like, I hate how normal it is to just play whatever you want, and people not try hard in ranked.
Wow. So this is a really divisive
this
thing.
is really decisive. Like there's the left and the right on this type
right.
thing, you know?
Interesting.
And then the comment, he had 3.7 thousand upvotes. It's got 3 times the amount of the post itself. The painful truth is that people who play random shit that is handicapping them all the time are still as effective as you try hard in. Your try hard in us at winning games. Otherwise, they would have lower MMR than you and not be on your team. Accepting this reality will bring you enlightenment and allow you to focus on improving yourself instead of your random teammates.
Okay. There's a lot of different takes here. Okay, so Nathan, before we even bring this back to League, let's take an example of some sort of traditional sport here, right?
All right.
Let's take, let's take basketball, okay, for a second. So the equivalent of ranked in basketball, what would you say that is? Is that like a local league? Like you're just going down to your local, you sign up to your local tournament, in your suburb and you play there? Or would you say ranked is even considered as like any try hard pickup basketball game down at like, playing with friends in the park? Like what is ranked? What is the equivalent of ranked?
So if I think about ranked, right, that means there has to be stakes.
There has to be some sort of like a ladder. There has to be some sort of a rating, right?
A ladder, but not even that. Like, let's say I pick up basketball game or whatever. Like, the stakes are like ego to win, right? Like, you really want to, like this, if you lose to maybe like that Skool, or you lose to people that you just don't like, or you want to beat that team. Like, I feel like that would be your rank.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So it doesn't necessarily have to be...
It doesn't have to be an actual ladder.
It doesn't have to be organized. It just
has to be like stakes, whether there's physical stakes, like let's say it's a money bet or whatever, but also just emotional, right? It's like, I just want to be better. We want to beat that team.
Yeah, or bragging rights.
Bragging rights. Yes, exactly right.
Okay, I see. So, okay, so let's I guess... Let's do an interesting experiment then. Let's steel man and maybe both of these arguments, right? So let's speak for the people that play ranked casually. What would be the reasons for someone to play ranked casually? I'll start the conversation. Number one, you are playing with people at your level. Because when you play normal games, right, the downside of normal games is that you could be paired with anyone. You could have random diamond players in your normal games, platinum players. If you're a silver player, you're not necessarily versing other silver players. You could be versing duos, trios, 4 stacks. You could be, you're going to be facing a wide, and people also are kind of like, the game's kind of memey. Like, they play out in a very unique way, slightly different to ranked, even in the lower elo brackets, right? I think that's objectively true. So I'll say that's one argument. Because then let's say you just want to play for fun and ranked. You're just going to be a low level player, whether it's in bronze or iron. But they exist for a reason, because people just want to maybe play with other casual players, but have some sort of structured, like they want to be able to get their role. They want to be able to play with people at their level. That's an argument.
Okay.
Anything else come to mind?
This is 4 again. People. 4.
Playing ranked casually. Random shit.
It's a game. Right? Like, that's obviously what that comment was. It's like, it's just a game, you're just there to have fun. Like, it's not like where, it's life or death or whatever, it's the leisure activity. It's like, okay, come back from a hard day's work. Let's just fire up the PC and play some fun League of Legends. And some people might want to do that they find the ranked a bit more fun than maybe normal games.
Yeah. I wonder why that is though. Like, wonder what the psychology is there. Like, why ranked? Maybe is it just like what I said before? Maybe they just want to 100% play with other people at there, or they want to feel like if they somehow win that game, they get rewarded for it.
Yeah, I think that's
maybe it's like gambling. It's like if I go in and I play for fun and I win, it's like a bonus, and if I lose, I don't care. So it's like a win-win.
Yeah, that's
it's true. Like if I lose, it doesn't really matter because the stakes are so low. But if I win, oh great, cool, I got a bit of LP. Rather than I just play a normal game, I get absolutely nothing else at it. Maybe there's something there, like psychologically, about being rewarded for somehow winning a game,
which is so counterintuitive. It's right?
Counterintuitive.
So why should I be allowed to get rewarded if I'm not putting in full effort?
But I don't think that's the way they're viewing it.
That's not the way they view it,
right?
But if you think about that logically, it's like,
doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense.
I think it's also, look, I think what it is, okay, I think that's it. I can't think of any more. They're like 1 or 2 reasons, right? And then we have the other side. Why should ranked only be for people playing it seriously? What are some things that come to mind there?
Well, from our perspective, Curtis.
No, let's say your perspective.
From my perspective,
Yeah.
well, it's more fun. It's just fun to sort of see where you're at and try really hard and climb the rank ladder, right? That's really fun.
But what's an argument to say that everyone should be tryharding? Like there is no room for casual players in ranked.
Why is this so hard to come up with something? I think this is difficult because it's just so normal for us.
I don't think you even care either, to be honest. Well, right?
No. Because
it's not really something you give much thought. It's like I just accept that there are going to be casual play. We accept
and the system works itself out anyway. So
yeah.
And okay, and this is the other thing as well, is that if someone is playing casually, like that can't be the case all the time if they're in my same brackets.
They might do it every now and then.
Yeah.
And if they are doing it all the time, like that comment said, they would be significantly lower in MMR, right? So the system, if someone is really, like if you are the one that is always tryharding, theoretically you would be paired less and less with people that play casually, right?
Yeah. Well, no,
eventually.
You can't think of it that way though, because there is the let's say the platinum player, right? The platinum player that let's say has a pretty good gaming background, and they have periods, they just do not care at all about ranked. But if they were to actually really try hard, they could get diamond like that. But they're so good at actually staying in platinum because they sometimes will get really angry. They keep losing. They start try hard.
Well, they just play random
shit. They
shit.
just play absolute random shit, right? So, and then they're just a perpetual platinum player, even though they can play like a diamond and then play like an iron, and that's what's
interesting.
So those are the players that I think people are frustrated about.
Yeah, interesting.
Like, I don't think you can actually view the argument as just, if you're tryharding, you're better than everyone else. That's not really true. Like someone could be literally, for funning and still destroying everyone and winning games because they're actually playing. They're in a skill bracket lower than actually what they're capable of.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. So, look, realistically, so the way you want to view it, right? I think, after hearing what you said there, the rank system is you can't ever enforce intensity. That's just not feasible, right? That's never going to happen. Even when it comes to local leagues, right? I'm sure there are local leagues that someone's just they don't really feel like giving their all that week. They're just going to rock up. They're going to do the bare minimum and then go home. Maybe they just had a bad day. Like that's going to happen, right? There are like in basketball, I know in the local leagues, you have like the different like A, B, like different divisions, right? So there's like an E level league where there's just casual 40-year-old dads dicking around. Yeah. And like some of them are literally playing for fun. They don't train. They literally are probably unfit as hell. They can maybe play like one half or something, and they exist. But they still kind of want to win, but they're not giving their all. So you can't objectively enforce some sort of like, everyone has to try hard. Everyone has to be doing their best, playing champs that they want to play. That's just not realistic. And if you wanted that, you would have to get to a rank where that was kind of naturally the case, which if you got to a point where you're in Diamond 2 Plus or Master Plus, you're going to see significantly less quote unquote for fun players because you're at the apex tiers where people are taking the game a lot more seriously. So realistically, if it bothered you that much, that would be your goal. And you're just going to have to put up with all of that, more casual players, the lower rank you are. That's just a fact, right? There's probably more. There is a lot more casual players the lower you get.
Yeah, and it should be fine because it's going to net out the same. Not even just net out. You will have the advantage because if there's 5 people on the enemy team and 4 people on your team, then there's more odds on the other team, right? Because there's an extra person, so there's more likely that there's a 4-fun player on the other team than your team. So then you should be able to, theoretically, have an easier time.
I'm going to take this I could be completely blowing this out of proportion, but I feel like this is a really deep philosophical difference or view of the game. So I'm going to give you an example, right? There are some people, I'm going to use the example of driving. There are some people on the roads that just don't give a shit about like crashing, really. They're willing to take risks that are crazy.
Yeah.
And they expect that other people are just going
to take a risk or just like no awareness, like they don't check their mirrors or anything, or
I feel it, but again, this is where I'm saying deeper level. They're willing to take the risk. Like deep down, they don't really care if they have a bit of a bingle with someone. You see people regularly. I know family friends that get consistent red light tickets, speeding tickets all the time. They spend thousands of dollars on speeding tickets regularly, and that's always mind-boggling me. Why you want to get home 45 seconds faster, you're willing to run the risk of crossing a red light and getting a red light ticket. And so the conversation is not, it can't be at a level of I am superior or you shouldn't be doing this because you're going to get a ticket. We fundamentally have a very, very different view on this topic. Now, maybe this is and if we're going to get into the speeding ticket thing, maybe that's a relationship with money. Maybe we have different relationships with money. Maybe we have a different relationship with the government. I don't want to give...
It's like, screw the rules.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a much deeper philosophical thing. Now, bringing this back to League, some people just view League as a game. It's just a game. It is just a for fun. You go up, you go in, and maybe that is their relationship with gaming across all games. Maybe they have only ever played games casually. They have never taken a game seriously.
And when we take a game seriously, we're actually talking more so about get the specifics, about the ability to improve and actually being conscious.
But maybe even they're not viewing it as like an actual competitive endeavor. I'll give you another example, something that you probably resonate with, Nathan. When we were younger, right? When you played hockey, right? You used to play hockey. I'm sure you went through phases when you were a kid where you either really you were super competitive and you wanted to win, and then maybe you got older and you're like, I just don't really care that much. It's just I just got to do this because it's healthy and I got to get out there and be active. There were kids there would have been mates on your team, and I was one in footy. I didn't really
that was me as well.
I
was useless.
I didn't really care that much.
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't really, whether we won or lost, it's like whatever.
Yeah.
I just need to get active and like have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And so that would be mind-boggling to some people.
Yes.
Absolutely mind-boggling. Because their entire worldview was you got to play to win. Yeah. Why are you there? You're playing a sport, you got to play to win.
And we had teammates
were like that.
That were like that, who would never pass the ball. Like we're not reliable at all, right?
No, because they just wanted to win the game at all costs.
They would hate playing with us. We're not fun to play with.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So we have a completely different philosophical view on what sport was, what sport meant for us.
Yes.
And so I think it's the same thing here. What you've got this divide in the League community, whereas like there are people that just view League as not even as a competitive outlet. Yeah. Literally not even. Yeah. Like to the point where it's a way to casually piss away time and have a bit of fun.
And the system works itself out. So for example, using us being useless, we didn't try that hard. We didn't think about it. I didn't rock up to footy training, like wanting to actually improve that much and, getting to the A team. We were like on the B team or the C team, and the people that were hardcore, they were on the A team.
And they continue on. Yeah. And they play and they go to higher divisions and we stop playing.
Yeah. And we're just in the shitty team.
And that is exactly right.
We're playing at our level, right? So the system actually
eventually won't work in the short term.
Yeah.
Eventually it does work though. But you will, if you are one of those highly competitive people that wants to push, you're going to have to put up with us
yes.
in the environment, and the same thing happens in League.
Yes.
So you got this guy writing the post. He really cares about winning. He views it. He's like, I don't want to be shit at this game. This is a hobby. He's really maybe a competitive individual. He's trying to take his hobby relatively seriously, and he wants to improve it. Improve at League. And so he's having to, because maybe he's earlier on in his journey, he's having to play with players that don't have that same relationship with the game. They don't have that same view of the game. And we can empathize. I think if anyone has half a brain can empathize if you think maybe League isn't that game for you though. Maybe League isn't that competitive thing. But I'm sure you're competitive in something else. Maybe you're competitive in your career. Maybe there are people that rock up in your workplace that just do the bare minimum, never get promoted, stay in the same position for 15 years, whereas you've climbed the ranks and you're now in a manager position and whatever, and they're still in the same spot. And they're also just content. And that might piss you off. Like, what the hell, dude? You're doing the same job for 12 years. You don't give a shit. I'm like, yeah, that's okay as well. You can't impose your worldview. And this is what this is. What this post really is, if you cut all the crap, cut all the fat, it's actually one person trying to kind of somewhat impose their worldview on someone else. And that's why it's so divisive. And that's why people are so defensive. It's like, you can't tell me to how I want to spend my time and play my hobby. And the other person says, well, yeah, you should do it this way. But no, you're not going to get anywhere. Because again, you can't fundamentally change, someone's worldview like that. That's not the way it works.
Yeah. And people might think it's like, well, Curtis and Nathan, you've got 219 episodes about telling people to play ranked and take it seriously and stuff. Remember, we're not opposing our view on anyone. We're just talking about how fun League can actually be from taking it seriously, how much skills it can.
No, I think we are imposing it on the people that want to climb.
Okay.
So I think for us, right, Nathan, we're not appealing. Like, this podcast isn't for, the average dude who, doesn't even like League, kind of comes on and plays 20 games a year. Like, you know what I mean? Like we were with Dota.
Yeah.
We're not going to tune into a Dota podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're not
It's like some people that we grew up with who play League, or like my cousin and stuff. Like,
yeah,
they're never gonna. I would never tell them to watch this podcast. This podcast is not for them, even though they've played League, right?
So we do. I feel like we do kind of impose things, but for the people that want to get results and want to get better at the game.
Yeah,
that
makes sense.
I would say that's. I mean, maybe there is an element of this podcast where it's like we're trying to let people know that League can be viewed through this lens
and
of
you can improve it, like it exists.
Yeah, and I do think we do sometimes impose, but I think that's okay too, because we're a niche podcast. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, and like our podcast probably is for this guy, but maybe not the other, half of the people reading this, and that's okay too. So, it's I think it's an interesting life lesson, to be honest, from this post, and I, in a weird way, I kind of like, isn't it really realistic how like the rank system, how you have to learn how to put up with the general public, and you have to find a way to carve out your own little path and navigate in like kind of carve out your own journey despite what everyone else is doing. You know what I mean? Like that is what. Like in life,
it is
in a weird
and just
way.
Trust it in the long run. If this guy wants to play with serious players, then you're gonna have to put in the work and deal with all that. There has to be some adversity. Like, think about how entitled you would have to be to think I can rock up into a silver or gold game, or a platinum. I don't know what this game, even emerald, even diamond, right? And you expect that I deserve 4 people try hard and 5 people in the enemy team try hard.
It just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense.
Isn't that? Yeah, I think it's actually really entitled.
But and again, empathizing with him, you can tell he's very passionate about the game, right? Like, when you're very passionate about something, as we know, like, you can get really emotional about something, and it's very easy to forget that the way you view the world is just through your lens, and it's so easy to impose your standards on someone else. Right? You got to be. It's so easy to project, isn't it? It'd be like, this is how I go about my day to day. This is how I go about my time on League. Everyone else should be the same. It's easy to do that. It's hard to empathize. It's hard to accept differences. It's really, really hard.
It is.
It's really, really, really hard.
Yeah,
that's where the life lesson is here as well. Yeah,
and you can tell, how emotional he is. He can't put sentences together here, Curtis.
He's angrily just typing.
And he's using hate. It's a strong word. He's like, I hate how normal it has become to play ranked if you're not serious about the game.
But I will say, I again, it's an interesting take though, how, you are framed as toxic for saying something to that person who is actively ruining.
That's another conversation.
That is another conversation, right? Like, it is that is interesting.
But that's the same argument where, this is what you got to put up with. Welcome to life. Like, do you go in and, have a conversation with everyone that's like again, let's keep going back to our football analogy, Curtis. I never had a conversation with that guy. The guy who was super, like, really good he'll just ignore me. Yeah. Completely ignore me. We were not friends. We wouldn't talk, nothing. And then, he was on the A team and all that sort of stuff, and there was no engagement with me. So we're not having conversations, I mean, I guess maybe if it was online, actually, you know, given, you know, what kids and stuff, if it feels like an online, he probably would be playing.
Maybe,
with me.
yeah.
Maybe, but
Because anonymity.
yeah, that's the difference. But still, you know, like you just do your own thing, dude. Focus on yourself. Focus on what you can control. You can't control others.
Yeah, very interesting. I love these. I love these posts. It gives us such a beautiful insight into the community.
Yes, that's fantastic.
How people view League. Really, really interesting. So I wanted to... Anything else on this, by the way?
No.
I wanted to circle back on last week's episode. You know, we kind of posed to the community, you know, what was your take on, to re-jog people's memory? If you didn't watch the episode, this episode was kind of breaking down the psychology of why people leave kind of, I guess, negative comments on YouTube videos, even though like about how shit the game is, despite playing it and despite watching the video. And I want to go through, I mean, first of all, guys, there was some amazing
Great
comments
stuff.
And shout out to the guy we actually highlighted. We actually went through this guy's OPG and he replied with a really thoughtful response. So shout out to that guy. So really, really awesome stuff. We appreciate you.
This comment section was just another reminder. Our audience, I always say, we got the highest quality League of Legends comment section of any YouTube video.
So I want to this was the question to the community that we asked you guys. Why do people treat League as though it's a horrible experience and publicly shit on the company and the game, stating they don't play it, but remain active in the community just to state their disinterest, disdain, or otherwise displeasure with the game? Now, Crazy Ninja left this beautiful answer. I thought we could kind of expand on this one. So he says, in my opinion, people love League of Legends, but League of Legends is an overwhelming game. Playing League of Legends makes you feel like you're in a box and cannot control the aspects occurring outside of your keyboard. I believe this is the lead contributor to tilt, anger, flame, griefing, and general distaste for League of Legends. People, whilst playing, do not have the time nor energy available to process the situations occurring, the micro behaviors they're actively doing, as well as what people around them are doing. It's a suffocating game to play when you do not understand the game. This is why I personally believe that features such as the ward ping, that tracks ward timers, recommended items are just amazing features because it reduces the overwhelming information given to you, especially as a noob. I've noticed a reduction in toxicity from new players, and I primarily believe that these features, as well as YouTube and Twitch being harsher on unacceptable behavior, has assisted in this social progression. But why does this matter? When you love the concept of League of Legends, but feel suffocated, overwhelmed, stressed, and essentially a victim, even to your own failure, it is impossible to play the game as well as enjoy it at the same time. Many people become active viewers of educational streamers, content creators, and personalities, even without actively playing the game anymore because they feel it's impossible. Because it's impossible to feel the validation while being the pilot in the seat. It's like a plane pilot. You definitely do not enjoy those first 50 flights. Your life, as well as those on board, are independently in your hands. It is stressful and overwhelming, and moreover, our brains cannot know the risk difference, as I think many of us who have died and lived to tell the tale. When people state their opinions publicly on sub-niches and active popular community places about League, they're participating in the ecstasy of League as a concept without actively experiencing the entrapping box feeling that is associated with piloting the game. It's similar for those who don't enjoy being highly social, outgoing, or loud individuals, but are attracted to those sorts of streamers and social media personalities. It is the pure novelty they chase, not the actualization. What a beautiful response. So
Interesting take.
Very interesting take, right? I think there's a few things that I want to riff on here. I think just at the end, he says, I like that kind of, that the similar to people watching, you know, streamers like, who's that really like famous streamer? I Show Speed, is that his name?
Oh, yes.
That guy, and he's like super, you know, sociable, buoyant, can talk to anyone. And people are just sitting there in their room.
He's like traveling the world.
Traveling the world,
yeah.
like, living this crazy life, right?
Yeah.
And people are just sitting there in their room that are really probably hyper introverted, but enjoy the experience watching it through their lens. And how interesting is that? It's like they're not necessarily experiencing that themselves, but they enjoy the novelty of like going through that kind of journey.
But if they were to be in that situation, they
would feel terrible.
Hate it.
They would hate it.
They would hate it.
They would hate it. You know, I'm sure there are people that would, maybe not all. I'm not saying everyone, but there are probably a lot of people that wouldn't enjoy those scenarios. And so I think that is definitely the case with League, where they enjoy, like when you watch some of the best players in the world and like, oh, you know, you can look at the minimap, you're stress-free because your mental stack isn't overwhelmed. You can just enjoy the cool parts of the game. Yeah. Oh, I wonder what plays this guy going to make. Oh, cool, he's rocking into a team fight. I wonder what he's going to do. Or, oh, how is he going to play this mid game? How far is he going to push up in the side lane? I wonder how he's going to play this 2v2. You can enjoy all of these awesome aspects of the game without actually going through the mental stress of being in that situation yourself. And so I think over time, because of how overwhelming the execution of League is, it's almost as if it pushes you down this path of distancing yourself from the game and looking at it through the lens of other people. And I'm sure there are many, and we've actually seen in this podcast, people who listen to our podcast and enjoy us talking about the game, but don't even play it anymore. They play other games, or they've moved on to other chapters in their life. And I think it's kind of the same thing. They enjoy talking about the game. They enjoy the concepts of the game, but they don't actually like the stress or the overwhelming nature of the solo queue experience itself. And I think that's very true.
Yes.
Just based off our experiences.
Absolutely. I've never actually had that thought.
But it makes sense.
It makes
perfect sense. Because the execution barrier in League is so high. Right? It's not low at all. It's so high. There is so much muscle memory that needs to be developed. There's so much, muscle memory, so much knowledge, the speed of the game, the brutal nature of the game, going through that learning journey to get you to a point where you're actually playing the game of League of Legends is immense. Now, sure, when you get there in the end or you actually really start to get into the details, or you go through that journey with assistance, getting coaches, it's manageable, but it's still hard. It's still hard. Think about people in our communities, Nathan. They're getting coaching. They can get any questions answered. They're filled with a community with like-minded individuals. They've got beautiful resources, and it's still very, very, very hard for them. So think about the average player, Nathan, that doesn't have access to any of that. They don't have anyone that they can maybe talk to about the game. They don't even know where to begin reviewing their games. They probably haven't got coaching before, and they're not in a financial position to get coaching. You can, all of a sudden start to paint a picture of how difficult it would be, or how easy it would be, to go onto a YouTube video. You kind of like the concept of the game, but you're so beat down by the execution, how difficult it is. Why not just comment a few things, have a bit of a laugh, enjoy watching some high elo play, and then that's it. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense.
Love it.
I do also like, how well he articulated the word suffocating. I think that's what League can feel like. And it does feel like for them. But I think this is the thing that I think should help people, because they're going to listen to this. Oh my God, should I even play League? Holy shit. What Curtis is saying here. But what you got to realize, everyone is suffocating. It's not just you. So the reason League is manageable, the reason the solo queue journey is manageable, is that you're all underwater. Everyone in that game. It's have you seen those videos like Navy SEAL training, and then they're putting their head underwater, and they're tying their hands behind their back, and they're trying to get their head afloat. Everyone is like that. Everyone is trying to just keep their head above the water, and it's who can thrive in that situation the best. It's not like
they rise to the top.
They rise to the top. Now, eventually, right, if you get super, 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 super good at that, you'll eventually develop the skill set and you won't be overwhelmed at all. But for 98% of your journey, you are going to be that guy with your hands tied behind your back, struggling for air.
It's easy to forget that.
But everyone is. And it's easy to forget that because you're only...
It's like main character syndrome, right? Like, I'm the main character in my story. Like, it's me. I'm the one suffering here. Everyone else is having a blast, getting the best teammates on their team.
Because you never see the bad plays of everyone else. Like, so what happens, right? When you're playing League, you're painfully aware of all the things you're doing wrong. Like, you have to live through it, right? It's like, yep, here I died to a gank, here I missed this Q, and I missed another R,
and the worst thing about League as well is that you go through it, but it's not just that moment. You're stuck with that for 10, 15 minutes of that end of review mistake. Do you know how difficult that is sometimes?
That's brutal.
It's brutal. You don't just forget 10, 15 minutes of that experience in that moment.
And this is the thing that saves you guys. You have to remember everyone in your games is equally making the same amount of mistakes. across the journey. Maybe not in that game, but in another game, they will make the same amount of mistakes, and we're all on the same journey. Everyone feels the same way. That's the League of Legends experience. So you're not alone. You're not alone.
Good message, Curtis.
But yeah, really, really awesome comment there. And there was another one here in my Discord from Otello. He said, people who go to a serious type of channel and are cracking jokes are probably not happy with the answer they've been given. It's not a sexy answer, right? In quote, you can just improve if you put in the effort and take accountability. It's not really a sexy piece of advice, right? So taking accountability is extremely difficult for many people because it involves admitting to a mistake or a fault and leaving oneself open to criticism from themselves and others. I remember this one lecture I had in uni where the professor was discussing a self-preservation theory that basically how it's ingrained in human nature to externalize things and hurt others before hurting ourselves. Now apply this to League and it explains the bulk of toxicity. It's so easy to point the finger, and it's much more difficult and brutal to even look at ourselves, which is so true, right? Because I mean, his professor was talking about it from like a self-preservation, right? Like, you know, putting down, like jabbing at others and being critical of others is kind of like a way of kind of protecting yourself in a way, which makes sense. Because if you're painfully hyper aware of all the things and admitting to everything that you're doing wrong, it's going to be very difficult to have self-confidence and to thrive in a social environment, especially, right? Which makes sense. Generally, there's a widespread negative connotation with making mistakes or being wrong about things. It's as if, oh, you made this silly little mistake, you're a worthless idiot. And that's actually a really good point, because even if you were to own up to your mistakes, it's not like anyone is like, oh yeah, so what? Just because like they're going to shit on you even more. You know what I mean? It's like, you're not really rewarded externally for saying, for like apologize, like for like admitting your mistakes. You know what I mean?
No. If anything, it's the other way around.
It's the other way around.
Yeah.
If you say, oh, sorry guys, I messed up here. Like, yeah, no shit, you're a dumb idiot.
And if you do
you've ruined the game.
And if you do end up taking accountability, no one's patting you on the back.
No one's patting you on the back.
Good job, Timmy.
No. Some of the greatest things in life are a result of mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes, but we must learn from it. To be critical of oneself in a constructive way is a skill. The MLA is teaching me that with the review process. Just yesterday, I was reviewing some deaths in a game I had, and it literally came down to being a pixel or two off in my clicks, and that I wasn't in range to hit my Q2 as Talia and kill the enemy before they killed me. I paused for a second and was like, wow, that's brutal. The tiniest little thing can be so punishing. I could have been frustrated, but I actually embraced that, and now I'm going to be more mindful of that in my future games, and that's all there is to it.
It is.
Without the MLA, it could have easily been a scenario where I just blame my jungler for not moving to help me in a 1v2 against an enemy mid-jungle, but I know that it was on me and no one else. I love that. Just small little things. And then lastly, another broader thing is not everyone can relate to improvement and success with their league rank journey, but everyone can relate to the negative aspects. We've all had trolls, inters, etc. But the way we deal with that in the MLA is the growth mindset, the polar opposite of the average player without a process. So, and at the end of the day, they just might seek validation or connections with others because the solo queue journey is very lonely, right? How else can they connect with people other than through shared pain? So in a way, it's actually kind of like a way to connect, isn't it, with others? And that's why I think you were mentioning in the previous episode, it's kind of cool, or it's like it's popular. It's a popular thing to say.
I use the word social norm.
It's the social norm, and so ultimately we want to fit in, right? We want to connect with other people. We don't want to be the outlier. We don't want to be the person on the edge. We want to be the person that fits in with the crowd. And through
it's a survival mechanism from our monkey days, Gerhard. If we're not in the crowd, if we're not fitting in, we're outcast, and then we're dead in the wild.
Exactly right. And so I think a lot of people probably subconsciously do this. They're just trying to fit in and not stand out too much, and they don't want to be contrarian. Yeah. And as a result, you just get led down that path.
Literally, there was comments in this thread of people saying that they're an outcast in their friend group when they talk about League as like, it's a fun game and it's
and that's awesome. Hard to, that's objectively incredibly hard to do.
Yeah. It's like brave to do that in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's brave to do. Were you wrapping up on that, Curtis?
Yeah. That was really the main ones.
You said circling back. I'm going to circle back again, Curtis.
Right.
We're going back
around the block.
We're going back to the beginning with the worlds. This comment just happenstance. I'm reading this here. This is from Kevin. Please discuss champions in a really bad state for a period of time. I've been a Rumble player for years, and I see a lot of doom posted in the Rumble subreddit. They're saying they've moved on maining someone else. The champ is dead. They're playing something else for the meantime. And Rumble was the third most picked top lane champ. And that's probably somewhat true. I mean, Rumble players, if I play against a Rumble top, it's the easiest ganks of my life. It's sort of, again, sort of saying, you know, how different competitive can be from solo queue.
Well, I just, you know, I guess moving on to this topic, quick circling back to your initial topic.
Yeah.
I've heard, anyway, I don't know if this how true this is. I've heard Rumble is actually getting some sort of an adjustment or rework of some sort. I'm not 100% sure, but that's the rumors. But if you main champions that are very good at elite level of play, you're in for a whole world of pain in general. It doesn't matter if it's a Azir, that's a common one.
Rise
is another one. Rumble, definitely. Just like Cassante, you know, these sorts of champions, they're just very, very hard to main for the average solo queue player.
Because they're in the spotlight for patch notes.
Exactly right. I mean, think about how many times Cassante has been changed and altered. It's unbelievable.
Lost count.
Yeah, I've lost count. Exactly right. So, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that Rumble's unplayable. That's bullshit, right? Rumble's always playable.
Of course, but it's difficult.
It's difficult.
Yes,
it is difficult. And champions like that are objectively difficult. So yeah, that is a fact. That is a fact.
Moving on to our Skool post of the week. A reminder, you can join our Skool BBC community in the link description or on skool.com. It's We Will Teach You League. This one here comes from Gerhard. One trick in. To what extent does it hinder?
I don't think it's Gerhard. I think it's Jared.
No,
no, keep going.
Oh,
keep going.
Geez. To what
everyone need to see that.
There's actually a Conan TikTok that I saw of someone like screwing up a name, and someone was like, you know, let's just do a retake. And then they say, no, I want people to see just how shitty things are around like this show. All right, here we go. Right. To what extent does it hinder your ability to climb? Gerhard. A bit of history. I am one of those hard-stuck Emerald 3 players, an ADC main, and something very exotic, a Xayah one-trick. I hired an ADC coach, and he basically told me the reason for a majority of your losses is mainly my champion choice. Xayah being a counter-pick type champion against melee comps and struggling a lot against range comps. So I played a decent amount of normal games and tried out quite a number of different ADCs, from which I picked 2 to play. About a week later, I reached Emerald 2 and quit shortly after. For about 2 months, it was just a few days ago I realized why I quit, and you can probably guess it. It seems I not only want to play my OTP, but I kind of have to, since my motivation is tied to it. Since I've found quite a lot of information about champ pools here, just usually the other way around, getting rid of switching a champ pool too often, I'd love to hear your opinion on this matter. Is sticking to this one champion the way? Do I have to convince my mind to play something else somehow? At which point does it become inevitable to swap one's champions?
I used to be like that coach. I used to just say,
yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
And now what I always say, I just say very simply, if this champion is the reason you're having fun in the game, stick with it. If it takes you 3 years, right? If it takes you, let's be realistic. If it takes you a year to get from platinum to emerald, so be it. Let's figure out a way. And at the end of the day, League is a hobby, right? And for certain personality types, they're okay with the journey taking a little bit longer.
But you need to make sure that you're understand that and accept that, otherwise you will lose your mind.
Yes, you need to manage the expectations. That's the job of a coach, I feel like. The job of the coach is like, I sometimes feel as though the job, like we as coaches, and I'm not saying that Eddie Curry coach did a poor job because he got results, right? He objected, but sometimes I feel like the coach, we feel like we have this responsibility to give you results the fastest way possible. But I actually feel like the job of a coach is to give the client what they want. Like, if the client wants to learn more about this particular champion, then we will do that. If the client says, you know what, I want to climb as fast as humanly possible, then we can do that. If the client says, you know what, I just really want to learn whatever the hell it is, like, everyone hires a coach for a different reason. And our assumption is like, yep, this person's obviously buying coaching to climb as fast as humanly possible. And I've learned over time that's not the case. There's many clients where that hasn't been the case, and that really caught me off guard. I think the idea that someone was willing to like take 2 years longer in their journey was mind-boggling me at the start. I'm like, that's crazy.
It's like, why would you do that?
Why would you do that? But it took a while for me to realize that exists. That's a thing. Some people don't really care that much about rank. They just want to get really good at their champion, and that's okay too.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that's a really good point, is that, not even just the pressure from, you as a coach to get people results, but also from, the community or friends. Let's say they're seeing like, Gerhard here being Emerald 2 for ages. People are like, you're still playing Xayah in Emerald, and you'd have those conversations. Like, it's not just pressure from that, it's pressure for the community. Oh, let's say someone in your game, oh, you're hard stuck Emerald 2. So there is lots of pressures. And again, I would say for these type of players though, is that sometimes I feel like people can pigeonhole themselves sometimes to one trick in, and like you should try play different things and see, because there's a lot of fun champs out there. You'll be surprised, right?
That is true.
And I've talked about this before on actually our episode where we said the 10 things we wish we knew about ranked, and the willingness to expand to other champs, and that it doesn't take actually as long as you might think to pick up that champion and feel somewhat confident, have some intuition on that champion. That was something I was scared a lot of, moving from like an Udia one trick to other champs back in my season 3 days. So try that out first, and then if you really think, okay, I'm just a one trick, then embrace it, dude, and just understand the hard games and review the games. Review those games quickly. They may be quick ender reviews, and then when it comes to the games that you should be winning, then you're losing, then obviously that's lots of learnings probably in those games.
I think you raised a really good point. It sounds like this person had to go through that experience regardless.
Yes.
To know that Xayah was their baby at the end of the day, right? Like, if they never did that, they never would have known that at the end of the day. So I think you're absolutely spot on, to be honest. I think this client had to play the different champions and realize, you know what? I only play because of Xayah. Because no other way to find out. But I would say I've had a lot of clients, I can't speak for you, but I've had clients that say that they only play the game because of one champion. They play other champions and they're like, wait, what the hell? This champ's also great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they get results, and they actually have fun getting the results as well. Like, some people at the end of the day like the results, right? And there is some champs that are really difficult to one trick. And, and sometimes I find that, I could even maybe say maybe he's lying to himself, or he actually does want to get the diamond one or whatever. And
it's a defense mechanism.
Yeah, I see that as a defense mechanism for some people. And then when I push them over, I've had results both ways. I'd say more on the other end of saying, you should probably stop playing this champ. And there's actually a lot of other fun champs here. I've got all the guides, all the learning material. You can pick it up really quick. And you're like, oh, wow, that was such a good decision. I'm having a blast. Yeah.
At the end of the day, a lot of this is coming back to just really being honest with yourself. That's the key. The clearer you are on your problems and what you want from a coach, the easier we can help you. It's really that simple. If you have someone that rocks up to a coaching session and they're crystal clear on what they want, why they want it, they know why they play League, they've got clarity, we can get them results way, way faster.
Yeah. Like, let's say, for example, someone that said, because then it just cuts all that conversation out.
Yeah.
I just know.
Boom, straight into the
so
details.
let's say a person in Italy in gold, right? Says, Nathan, I've heard it all. I don't give a shit. I want to figure out how to do Nidalee. Then that cuts all me in the review thinking, oh God, this just would be so much easier on the champion. So like, okay, how do I problem solve this right now? I'm like, I got to figure this out. This is what we're going with. So here's the principles that we need to follow.
They're going to get more value for their money as well. Exactly right. Spot on. It's all coming back to being honest with yourself. So Gerhard, hopefully that puts you on the right track.
And I guess another tool that you can sort of think, if you were to put, sometimes this thought can also not be helpful. If you were like a challenger AD carry, if you plot a challenger player in Emerald with Xayah, they would probably just dominate,
Pop
right?
off, yeah.
Right? So it's possible.
Yep.
It's obviously a sometimes toxic thought experiment to think suddenly you're going to be challenger tomorrow, and that's, obviously that's going to take time, right?
Right. It's funny that you mentioned that, because I actually sometimes feel as though it's like even detrimental. Like it's so, like I say, it's good to get inspired by watching high level play.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where some people get absolutely demoralized from watching high level play because it's like they get overwhelmed. It's like, holy shit, like this is where people are at. And like, I'm looking at my games and this doesn't look anything like it. And they feel like it's not even in the realm of like,
it's like taking the 1,000 steps, right? And you can see what the 1,000th step looks like. You're at step number 1 and it's overwhelmed. Like you're going to take one step at a time, but so 1,000 steps seems too far away. It's not even realistic.
It's not even realistic.
No.
And it can sometimes actually be detrimental.
Correct.
Whereas other people, I feel like maybe they're already on step 300, maybe looking at that step 1,000 could be motivating. It's like, well, I've already gone this far.
Yeah.
I can see how far I've come, you know? So I think you don't want to be looking at super high level play too early on in your journey. You know what I mean? It can really kind of mess you up a little bit. And because like I think it was I can't remember what they played. I think it was a Rise player or something. And they were saying how they, you know, I'm like, have you watched any VODs and stuff? Like, oh yeah, I watched Chovy. And I'm like,
oh no.
And I'm like, look, mate, you know, our goal is to get you from Platinum 4 to Platinum 3. That's what I said. I said, we got to get you from Platinum 4. And I said, you know, cool. You know, it's cool. But just keep in mind that don't anchor yourself up here and just be careful what you take away from those games is what I'm saying. Like literally I said, just look at the ability usage, look at the trading and maybe look at some of the skirmishing. Don't look trying to understand the high level concepts. Just keep it simple. So yeah, it's a fine line between inspiration and feeling demoralized. Again, different personality types there.
All right, mailbag time, Curtis.
Yep.
Away we go. Welcome back for Nathan's mailbag. Jingle, jingle, jingle song. Alrighty then. Our first question here comes from Joshua. The title of this email is, I want to climb but need to break the mental barrier of being able to play games. Hey Nathan and Curtis. Joshua here from OS. We've got a fellow Oceanic community member. I started playing League in Season 9 and I've pretty much only ever played normal games in Season 10 to 11. And I played enough games to hit gold for the ranked skin. I don't believe I have ever really played over 100 ranked games a season, but at the beginning of Season 14, I was able to hit Emerald on OS playing top lane with a 67% win rate, playing Riven in about 30 or so games. I've pretty much been a Riven OTP since the beginning of my time playing League and have around 2.5 million mastery on the champion. However, whenever I seemingly reach my new peak, I either get nervous or anxious to play. For example, when I hit Emerald 4, I just stopped playing. I want to climb higher than Emerald. I would love to even push for Masters. I just don't know how to break the mental barrier of playing more games and also being able to actually hit Master, being the challenge that is in itself. Sometimes I am unsure on whether I should swap champion or not. I know I have the champ mastery on Riven, but I just feel I'd better off locking in a champ that is easier while I try to properly learn the full extent of the game. When I get punished on Riven, I often do the thing of blaming the other champion for being a counter or say, well, Riven is weak. I know this is not the right way to approach this situation, and I often call myself out on it and be like, no, I could have just not taken this fight, or I could have shielded this ability instead of this one. I often find myself in the habit of just playing mid lane, now in normal games with friends, where I have less champ mastery, still some with Syndra, Annie, Akali, and now I feel as if I've just fallen behind on being able to do well in top lane or on Riven. I feel that I cannot have as much impact from top lane, which I know is possible, I just don't know how to push those leads. I enjoy now playing both mid and top, but as someone who pretty much is a Riven OTP, I do consistently find myself wanting to go back to the champion. TLDR, ranked anxiety, sometimes blame my champ or other champs for being too strong or weak, wondering whether I should switch role, struggle to find opportunities to extend leads from top lane. Thanks for the great podcast, the most refreshing thing to watch, makes me view the game differently and be able to recognize my issues within the game instead of just blaming other things. Joshua.
The thing that really jumps out to me is that he sounds just overwhelmed. It sounds to me that he's got this ginormous task in front of him and he doesn't really know where to start.
So that's hidden master tier with Riven.
Yep, that's right.
And that's really
It
different.
kind of knows that, like, from the sounds of things, it knows what he wants. He knows that he wants to tackle this challenge. He wants to do it with Riven and he wants to do it with top lane, right? That's great. You've got a goal. You know what you want and how you want to do it. The problem, or what you want to do, sorry. The problem right now for him is how. Like, he doesn't have, like, he's basically looking at, like, Mount Everest and being like, okay, I got to get there.
He's at step one of 1,000.
Literally, what do I got to do? How do I get from here to here and then here to here? Like, he's overwhelmed. It's like, it's got this ginormous puzzle. He doesn't know where to start. And I think what he needs to do is he needs to get some direction. He needs some direction. And so, my honest opinion, you would benefit massively from coaching. You don't need to get coaching all the time, but you need to just get started. You need to get some sort of direction and structure, some learning objectives set. Now, you don't necessarily need to get coaching to get that started. If you wanted to do it yourself, this is how I would do it.
Yeah, especially when it comes to, he's saying a big problem in his gameplay is finding opportunities to extend leads from the top lane. What you'll probably find with coaching is you think that's your problem, but that's actually not your problem. There's probably a lot of other... That could be a problem, but there's probably a lot of big things you could be working on. People love to say that. That's like the most cookie cutter thing, by the way, that people think they need coaching to help with. How do I close that again with a lead? And then there's so many other principles back then. Let's step back a little bit.
Yeah, exactly right. And so what I would do is I would start to make note of what are some major problems happening in my games. You don't have to don't create any major learning objectives yet. Just make some observations. Maybe start a Google Doc or something, or Google Sheet, and say, okay, what happened in this game? I died to 3 ganks. Pretty straightforward. Move on. This next one, it's 5-0, but then I just gave my bounty here. Okay, make that note and just start to make some observations. What are you seeing? What problems are you starting to face? Now, after doing this for about a week, then you could start to say, okay, well, out of all these games that I've played, I'm noticing that I'm dying to a lot of ganks, or that I'm really struggling in these matchups. I feel like my lane phase is so inconsistent. I feel like I'm taking really bad trades, or I'm consistently... he could be getting ahead. I'm 3-0, but I just have no idea what to do. That should give you an indicator of where then to direct your attention when it comes to A, watching your gameplay, but B, looking online. Watch other Rivens. Type in YouTube, start looking at other Riven gameplay. What are they doing differently when it comes to those specific things? What are kind of the root causes? What's going on there? And then you can maybe start to create some sort of a focal point or focus point in your post game. So I would do that. That's a very kind of pragmatic way that you can go about doing it. But I think that you struggling to get games in is, again, a byproduct of feeling overwhelmed. I don't think it has anything to do with him not wanting to do it from the sounds of things. He knows what he wants. He just doesn't even know where to start. And going from A to B is the hardest bit. Once you go from A to B, B to C is easier. C to D is a little bit, it does get easier over time.
So I've got a bit more different psychoanalysis, Curtis, of why he's got ranked anxiety here. So he says he only plays 100 games a season, and he mentioned the 67% win rate with Riven. So I don't know him or whatever. This is pure just from my observations of league players over the years. If you just play normal games a lot and you power up 67% win rate to Emerald 2, well, what that's now done is it's like you're going to have a fear of success in a way, a fear of failure. Is that, okay, like, I'm pretty good, man. Like what if I try really hard, what else could be there? Maybe I could, but then he's now put it at an identity level, what people do with these win rates and get it really high. It's like, okay, well, but I don't want to ruin that though, because my perception of myself right now is that I could easily get to master.
Or he's an Emerald or Riven player. But you're saying that he might not even be an Emerald Riven player. He could actually got a bit lucky, didn't have a large sample size of games.
He's just a flat out Emerald player.
Right.
I think I'm going to assume that he's just like a flat out Emerald 2, just absolutely smurfing. But it's that identity you've sort of put yourself. It's like, oh well, if I try and fail to get master tier, my win rate goes down to 49%. Then I wasn't as special as I was as I got to 67.
Right.
Because it's like, let's say if you get a high win rate, you get to a rank, you speed up to a rank. Then there's that sense of what if after, and it you can have all these fantasies in your mind and these perceptions of yourself. It's like, but not actually do it. You never actually find the truth, but you're like, oh, if I got here, I could easily get to master. You see what I'm saying? What I find with these
I see what you mean. He's constructed some sort of identity of what sort of player he thinks he is, and he's worried about tarnishing that essentially.
So,
and maybe he's got a reputation with his friendship group as well.
Yeah. So being an Emerald 2 67% win rate player is actually better than in these people's minds with high win rates than being a Diamond 3 51% win rate player. You see what I'm saying? Or like even a Diamond 1 like 51% win rate player. That's actually how people think in League. And that idea of that again is sort of like that. Wow, well, I could actually be 67% win rate in Master as well. You see what I'm saying? So players that don't play a lot, the reality is that you are just super susceptible, super prone, super vulnerable to ranked anxiety because you haven't made this routine. You haven't gone through the experience of. I want you to get 49% win rate Riven and just go through the struggle.
Because ranked is still a big event for him.
Yes, it's a
he
big
hasn't actually. He didn't get that
event.
rank with the process.
No,
he's kind of played games here and there. It's still he's in this fairyland still.
It's a fairyland. He's in an absolute.
He hasn't been in the mud.
And guess what? There's no player ever in the history of the game that doesn't now go on a loss streak now, or you have to.
He needs to get dirty.
You have to get dirty. And I want to see 300 games, and I want to see you Diamond 4 with like a 49% win rate Riven. That's part of the journey.
And you got to do it.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's just super talented, and then bam, another 100 games he gets to master.
But it will happen eventually.
But then it's going to happen eventually. And you need to build a toolkit. It doesn't matter where it is, what rank it is. You have to build the toolkit and have the experience to know what that's like and get through those times.
Well spotted. I think you're spot on there. I think there's definitely something going on.
I always just get so concerned.
When you see win rates in these...
Low games, high win rates. Like you've talked before, like you are not scared of these players in ranks. No. Like these players are the most insecure players in League. Now, obviously, you might be saying, well, Nathan, aren't they just like Smurf? Yeah, obviously there's going to be the Smurfs here and there occasionally.
But they still are.
But even then, they still are.
Yeah.
I mean, recently I banned someone from my program for having a super high win rate. And the program wasn't for him. Like he would just never play. So, yeah. That is my analysis there, Curtis.
I think it'd be good for him to write back.
Yeah.
See what you do. Maybe write back after trying some things and let us know how it goes.
All right. Moving on here. This one comes from Avarice. Avarice? The title of this email is Overwhelmed by Life. How you fixed my mental and grounding my dreams. Hello, coach and not coach who coaches. I assume that's referring to me. My name is Avarice. This is going to be a loaded email, and I'm writing it from a place of someone who's been watching for a few months, mostly at work with my phone in my pocket. I like to preface this with my journey so far. I started gaming since I was in the crib. Though, as I was growing up, I never committed to a game and always struggled to hit that ranked button. Then I started playing League in 2023 when I was 16, and it was my main game, but I still had the same problem of hitting that ranked queue. I got really into Worlds in 2023, which you would think would ignite my passion more, but for some reason, I felt I needed a break, so I quit. Next, during the gap between November 2023 and I think May of 24, I got really into Guilty Gear Strive. Guilty Gear Strive.
It's a game.
Oh, a fighting game. I met many people I would consider friends, and it filled that competitive game niche I needed. This game finally taught me how to play ranked because instead of a traditional rank system, there's a community ran brackets. The community I was very close to at this point. I played a good amount, didn't get too good, but enjoyed it a lot. Then I hit a plateau, something I'm sure you're all too familiar with in your coaching endeavors. During this time, I kind of closed up from competitive again, stopped playing brackets, not committed to learning, playing a bunch of different games. Then after a Strive friend got me to reinstall League, I found the Broken by Concept podcast. This renewed my vigor for League, LoL esports, and competitive in general. The attachment is a little rant I had. How you saved my competitive gaming mental, even if it's not all the way healed. So these just looks like some tweets. We'll put that on the screen. So that addresses the second part of my subject line, the how you fix my mental. I really included it just to highlight how you can apply your process to other games and areas in life. And I'm happy to say a mix of my experience with with Strive, and your podcast has gotten me to queue up for ranked. I placed in Iron. And I still have to get my reps in. Haven't played much, but it's a start. Next to the first line of my subject, life complications. I know I want to play League. I know I want to be good at League, and I'll touch on that later. I want to go deep into League. There comes an issue, however. I am both employed in education, starting university next year, and have other games I really like Strive. I don't know where I want to go with my fighting game career, but it means a lot to me as well, and it is extremely overwhelming to have all 4 things going at the same time. I'm also attached to fighters, as most of my friends like them, and I love my friends. How would you reconcile this? I know I can put the time into League. If a guy with a full-time job and a family can, I certainly can, but a few medical problems really exacerbate this issue. We've got ADHD, unmedicated. Depression leads to extreme executive dysfunction at times, which makes it near impossible to even launch the client and press the Q button at times. Finally, my dream. I'm in love with League of Legends esports. I love the game. Then I love the esport, and a mix of your podcasting getting back into esports reignited my urge to play League. I will do my best to be involved in esports in some level, caster, coach, or player, but how realistic is this? I'm in Iron with a low sample size, granted. When I'm about to be 18 in 3 months, as well as going to college next year, I don't have the circumstance that allow me to skip college for this dream, but I'm willing to do a lot to try and chase it. I know college exists, but I'm unsure how it works. Same with Tier 2 play, and I have no clue how I'll pursue coach caster in the future. As former esports players and coaches, current coaches, and eternal League lovers, do you have any advice? Thank you. Love your work.
A lot going on there.
Well, firstly, let's relax a bit. We are 17 years old. Like, we gotta, there's a lot of opportunities for you. Okay, I'm going to answer the first question here, Curtis, about, pursuing esports. Okay, well, as a player, we're really, really far away from that. And and just in general, being a player now in esports is brutal.
Very hard.
There's way less spots. It's literally harder to become a professional League of Legends player right now than it is, significantly harder to be an NBA player or an NFL
astronaut.
player. Or like an astronaut. Literally. Especially if you're from, I'm going to assume, NA, or, you're competing against Koreans and there's 6 teams next year or whatever. It's
very hard.
All right. Casters right now, not too hot to be a caster. You've got co-streamers.
We're in a bit of an esports recession at the moment.
Yeah, and you got co-streamers. We don't know the future of that. That people we just might not have casters anymore, right? So I would settle down as a logical, obviously you can emotionally, I love esports, I want to be part of the industry, go for it. But there's a lot of challenges with that currently in the way the industry is right now. Now, in terms of college, this other fighting game, university, this other fighting game, getting deep into League, you only have a certain amount of time of the day. You gotta pick.
You gotta pick. That's the tough answer, but it's true.
And I mean, depends. You also ask how much of a competitive. I don't know how competitive this game is. Do you play the game more for the competitive nature of the fighting games, or is it because your friends play them? League takes a lot of time and effort and energy if you want to get good at the game.
I feel like it's with any hobby though. You can't spread yourself too thin. No. You're not going to be able to be great at tennis and painting and this and that. It's just too much. You got to really narrow in. And so a lot of the time, you just got to have to go with your gut. What does your gut tell you? Don't overthink it. What literally, the question you should ask yourself is, what gives me the most fun and satisfaction? Because ultimately, you're going to need to have a hell of a lot of fun in whatever it is you're going down to get to a high level. Whether it's in your fighting games or whether it's in League. And just because you're playing a fighting game doesn't mean you can't listen to the podcast. A lot of the concepts that we talk about here are applicable. There's heaps of people that play Valorant and Overwatch and all these other games and other hobbies, even outside of gaming, still tune into the podcast just to get takes on the growth mindset and pursuing excellence, right? So yeah, and I know, it's a bit of a weird answer, maybe not what you were expecting. You have to pick. Now, that doesn't mean you're selling your life to Guilty Gear. You might get 2 years into the journey.
Yeah.
You're still 19. You might come back to League and be like, oh, you want to play League now? Then you play 2 years of that and go to another game. And you know what? Maybe you never get high level in any game, and you just realize that League or gaming is just a casual hobby, and that maybe you're not an overly competitive person, and you want to spend that time pursuing other things, and that's okay too. The key here again is, as always, is being honest with yourself and go with the flow. Nathan and I, it's going to sound really weird, we also kind of like didn't plan anything. It's kind of, we were just passionate about League. You know, we kind of stumbled our way through to the position we were in. I didn't really plan to be a coach.
Not even close.
I didn't even really plan to be a pro player when I played. I literally just like had a lot of fun playing the game. I wanted to be good at it because that was what I didn't think, should I play this game or that game? It's like, I just had the most fun playing League. It was an absolute no-brainer. And then you go down that path and then it takes you somewhere. And if that path didn't take me anywhere, I probably would have went somewhere else. Like life has a weird way of figuring itself out.
Especially when you're this young. Like there's so much pressure from society, and you know, you think you've got to make all the life decisions right now. Okay, I'm 17 years old. Nathan and Curtis, tell me which game should I play? And I'm going to university. I'm going to do this degree. Like it's just, this is not how things pan out. You'll probably switch degrees. Probably. Maybe the game just disappears, and like maybe League disappears. Maybe you're playing something else in the next year or the next 12 months or not. So, you know, anytime we get these emails written in by like 16, 17, 18-year-olds, it's like, you are such a baby. You have so much of your life ahead of you.
You just kind of you gotta try things. I think it's good.
Try a lot of things.
Try a lot of things. But I also think you gotta really go with your gut. Again, it sounds such terrible advice, but it's true.
It's so clear. I mean, that's what I did.
That's what you did, dude. And I think, you know, your gut really does point you in the right direction eventually. You know, you'll eventually calibrate. You realize, you know what, that's not for me. There's, you know, we've had a few people that we're close to from the Broken by Concept podcast, you know, and from our communities, one of which was Niall, right? So he was a college student, and he was really good at League. He got to Master Tier 400 or 500 LP in NA, and he's like, you know what? I just don't know if League's for me. So he's like, you know what? I want to figure it out. So he went, and I think he signed up for the volleyball team, table tennis. He did all of these different things to try and figure out, like, what does he want to do? He's like, volleyball wasn't for me. You know, ping pong wasn't for me, whatever it was. And then he eventually found it, and it's bouldering, like rock climbing. And that's what he's obsessed with. And that's the route that he's gone down. And he's applying the growth mindset and the principles that he's learned, you know, among these other endeavors in League to apply to other things. And eventually he found the thing that worked out for him. And so I think that approach of just trying a bunch of differing things, and then finally you will realize, you know what, this is it. This is the thing. Or you might be the complete other end of the spectrum, like Nathan and I. It's just like you found the thing that you love and you double down on it and you go there.
Yeah.
They're all viable, but either way, like I think if there isn't a super clear one option, then try a bunch of things.
Take risks. Now you have time to take risks. You have no responsibilities.
And a year is nothing. A year is a drop in the ocean.
Yeah, a year is literally nothing. 2 years is nothing.
Yeah.
3 years is nothing. All right, next question here comes from Perry. The title of this email is Not Losing LP When Losing a Game But Getting an S rating. Hi, Curtis and Nathan. In the latest patch in Wild Rift, Riot instituted a change where if you get an S ranking and lose the game, you are protected from the loss. Since it is common for Riot to test changes in Wild Rift before bringing them to PC, I was wondering what you lads think of the change if it is hypothetically added to PC. Since we have always talked about destroying the enemy nexus as the end goal, but with this may encourage some players to do different. Love the podcast and keep up the good work, boys.
If this happens in League, I'm booking a flight, going to LA, I'm knocking on Riot's door, and I am protesting. I'm starting an organized march.
Well, they probably wouldn't let you in, Curtis. You would have to be outside the offices.
Yeah, I'm gonna start a riot, protest, a riot at Riot.
A riot sounds violent, Curtis. A protest sounds...
No, it's gonna be violence.
It's gonna be violence. Okay.
There's going to be blood spilled on
Wow.
on the right headquarters.
You're going to be in the news, Curtis. Coach Curtis, YouTuber, starts
violent protest
games,
at
violent
Riot.
protest.
Sentenced to 25 years prison.
Yeah. For a good cause.
Guantanamo
Curtis.
Bay.
Good cause. But yeah, this would be the worst change ever. You know, it's funny how people always want these changes to the rank. Like, the rank system is so fine, dude. You know, like, don't touch it, please. Like, you know, even the, we had that discussion, was it last year? I can't remember. You know how they're experimenting with, I think they announced it recently, the true skill thing, where you get a little bit less LP for, performing a bit better in some games, and we were sort of talking about some complications with that. But then we sort of circled back. We keep using circled back in this podcast, because that's like the word of the
we
day.
should call this the episode circling back.
By the end of that conversation, we said, even if they were to add true skill, no one's drastically going to be changing ranks, right? Like, just because you're performing better in some games, you're going to be basically the same, maybe give or take 50, 100 LP difference, right? So, you know, people want all these changes. People think this is so cool. People sometimes think that this is the salvation to them, like, coming back to the game, or they're going to get higher rank than they actually deserve. The rank system it just works great in a long enough time in isolation. It's great.
But I also think, you know, although I can't confirm this hypothesis about testing things in Wild Rift before League, I actually fundamentally believe that they just view them as completely different, like, games.
Yeah.
I think Wild Rift...
What's examples that they have done?
I don't know. Again, I'm not an expert when it comes to Wild Rift. But from everything that I observed, you know, the whole thing about how, you know, it's super hard to demote, you know. So
This sounds like it's even harder.
everyone
now.
was getting to high rank because it was like... At the end of the day, like, I think they view Wild Rift through a very casual...
It's the casual game.
It's the
mobile
casual game.
They want the mass audience.
They want mass audience,
Playing
mass
Wild Rift.
money,
Yeah.
you know, type thing. I don't think they really care that much from all the change.
And this change would be in line with that.
Exactly. It would be in line with that, making as many people happy and casually playing the game so they buy skins. And that's it. So I just don't really worry about this. I think this would be absolutely egregious in League. And would ruin the competitive integrity of the game, because people would be more concerned about KDA and looking good rather than actually just getting the win and sometimes putting their body on the line.
Yeah,
you know.
Winning games, especially in high
Willing to take risks.
It's super ugly, dude. Especially in certain roles like junglers and
supports.
They can do a shit.
Utility-based mid laners. If I'm playing Galio, I can't be afraid to
No.
go in there and get a bit messy, you know.
Yeah, go in there, die.
Lissandra or something, you know, I am going to die. It's inevitable. And I can't be thinking, do I really want to save this guy? Because if I die here, then I'm going to lose more LP. You know, that's just a disaster. That's not right. That's not how League is meant to be played.
No.
It's a team game, and you win and lose as a team, and that's just the reality. And it's good.
Yep, and I think everything's fine.
For now, yeah. As it is for now.
don't
And
need to-
there's room for improvement. I just don't think this is
Yeah, this is...
an improvement.
No.
Potential
This is
improvement.
quite the opposite direction.
But yes, thanks for the update. We will keep an eye on that. Again, so I got to get ready on...
We get educated about Wild Rift through Mailbag.
we do.
We get lots of little hints about what's going on with Riot there. I mean, we've played a little bit of it. We've sort of been in a little stint.
Yep.
It's fun.
If I see it coming, again, I start booking my flights, start organising my protest.
Yep. So
Who's
there you
coming
go.
with me?
Curtis might be imprisoned and this podcast might packed up.
Yeah.
We'll have to
Had a
find
good run.
another co-host. I'll have a looking for new co-host posts.
Application,
yeah. All right. I think that wraps up our podcast today, Curtis.
Yeah.
Good work, guys. Let's keep on improving 3-block process Worlds.
Get Worlds.
2024.
Get excited.
That's exciting. We got a lot of the Swift stage will have happened by the time this podcast comes out, but I'm excited for the Swift stage. We'll see you guys next week.